Have you ever wondered if that old penny sitting in your change jar could be worth a fortune? What if I told you that one specific penny, a small copper coin from 1968, might be worth thousands, even up to $1 million in the right condition? Sounds unbelievable, right? But hang tight, because today we're diving deep into the mystery and value of the 1968's Lincoln penny. This is not just any ordinary penny. It's the 1968's Lincoln cent, minted in San Francisco, and there's more to this coin than meets the eye. Let's take it back for a moment. In 1968, the United States Mint produced Lincoln cents in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The San Francisco Mint mark is denoted by a small s just under the date on the front side of the coin, the obverse right next to President Abraham Lincoln's chest. Millions of these 1968's pennies were made, over 258 million to be exact. So what makes this coin so special? Why are collectors paying hundreds, thousands, or even reportedly bidding close to $1 million for one? Well, the answer comes down to rarity. Not all 1968's Lincoln cents are valuable. In fact, most are only worth a cent. But the condition, strike, and errors on certain examples can make them extremely desirable to collectors. Let's start with proof coins. The San Francisco Mint in 1968 also produced proof pennies, ultra-high-quality coins made specifically for collectors. These were never meant for circulation. If you have a 1968's penny with a mirror-like surface, sharp details, and nowhere, you might be holding a proof coin. In perfect proof condition, these coins can sell from $20 to over $100, depending on the grade, but the real jaw-dropping value comes from error coins. One of the most sought-after errors in the Lincoln penny series is the double die obverse, or DDO. It's when the coin was struck with a die that had a slight misalignment, creating a doubling effect, often visible in the date or the word Liberty. Some 1968's Lincoln cents have been discovered with strong doubling on the obverse, and these coins have sold for as much as $15,000 at auction. Imagine pulling one of those out of an old coin roll. But here's where things get even more interesting. In some online auctions and forums, there have been reports and listings suggesting that a 1968's Lincoln penny sold for nearly $1 million. So what's the truth? In reality, many of these claims are greatly exaggerated or completely false, often done for attention or to drive up prices artificially. No 1968's penny has officially sold for $1 million as of now. But that doesn't mean the coin can't be incredibly valuable. Coins in mint state 67 red or higher, certified by grading companies like PCGS or NGC, can sell for thousands. The highest graded examples, meaning they are almost flawless and look brand new, are incredibly rare and highly prized. In fact, the top auction prices for a certified MS67 red 1968's penny have reached over $5,000 at now. Let's talk about what you should look for in your change jar or coin collection. At first, find a 1968 penny with an S mint mark. Next, check its condition. If it looks sharp, shiny, and has no visible scratches or wear, it might be worth grading. If you have access to a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass, look closely at the date and the lettering for any signs of doubling. You might also come across what's called a small date or large date variety, which can slightly impact value, though not as dramatically as a double die. And remember, cleaning a coin can actually ruin its value. So if you find a potentially rare penny, leave it as is and get it checked by a professional. So let's summarize: the 1968's Lincoln penny, a coin most people overlook, might just be hiding incredible value. While most are worth just a cent, some proof coins, error coins, and high-grade mint state examples have sold for hundreds, thousands, and yes, even tens of thousands of dollars. $1 million claims? Not officially confirmed. But in the world of numismatics, where rarity, history, and condition collide, anything is possible. Before you toss that next penny aside, take a second look. You never know, that little copper coin could be the hidden treasure you've been dreaming of. If you enjoyed this deep dive into coin collecting and rare US coins, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more discoveries, and share this video with your friends, especially the ones who always say a penny isn't worth anything, because sometimes, it's worth a whole lot more. 1969 D. Lincoln cent penny. Whether you're holding onto an old jar of pennies or just picked up one at a yard sale, you'll want to pay very close attention. Because one tiny letter, that little d under the date, might just connect you to a story worth thousands or even millions of dollars. First, let's take a step back. The coin we're talking about is the Lincoln cent. This iconic penny features the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, on the obverse or head side. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, was first minted in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday. It's the longest-running design in American coinage and a true classic. Now, 1969 was a turbulent year in American history. The Vietnam War was raging, Woodstock made history, and man walked on the moon for the first time. In the world of coins, something else historic was happening, and it involved the Lincoln penny. So let's talk about the 1969 D mint mark. That D stands for Denver, which means this particular penny was minted at the Denver Mint. Over 4 billion Lincoln cents were struck there in 1969. That's right, billions with a B. So why is there so much buzz around this particular year and mint mark? Here's where things get interesting. There's a lot of confusion between the 1969 D Lincoln penny and the 1969 S double die Lincoln penny. The S, of course, stands for San Francisco. The 1969 S double die penny is one of the rarest and most valuable Lincoln cents in existence, with just a few dozen verified examples known to exist. One of these coins sold at auction for over $100,000, and some estimates suggest pristine examples could fetch close to $500,000 or even more. But what about the D mint mark? Here's the truth: most 1969 D Lincoln pennies are common and typically worth only face value, just 1 cent. In circulated condition, the average coin won't bring more than a few cents from a collector. Even in brilliant uncirculated condition, it might only be worth around 10 to 50 cents. However, there are exceptions. If your 1969 D penny has unusual characteristics such as a doubling of the date or lettering, a striking error, or is in extremely high-grade condition, then you might be holding something much more valuable. Coins graded at MS66 and higher by PCGS or NGC can command serious premiums. A 1969 D Lincoln cent graded MS67 red, for instance, has sold for over $10,000 at auction. That's not pocket change, that's a serious return on investment for a coin you might have found in your change. Now let's clear up one myth right away. The 1969 D penny is not the $1 million coin. That title belongs to the 1969 S double die obverse variety. However, that doesn't mean the D version can't be valuable under the right circumstances. So how do you know if your coin is special? Here's what you need to look for. And number 1, condition. If your 1969 D penny is in mint state, showing no signs of wear, and retains its original red luster, it could be worth getting graded. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. The higher the grade, the higher the value. Number 2, errors. Some 1969 D pennies have been found with off-center strikes, die cracks, BIE errors between the B and E in Liberty, and more. These types of errors can bring in anywhere from $10 to several hundred depending on rarity and demand. Number 3, doubling. Although the true double die exists only on the 1969 S version, some minor machine doubling on the D mint coins can confuse collectors. It's important to know the difference, because machine doubling doesn't add much value, while true doubled dies are extremely valuable. If you think you see doubling, always get a professional opinion. Let's talk market value. In June 2025, the coin market remains strong. High-grade Lincoln cents are holding their value well thanks to increased interest in U.S. coinage. A top-grade 1969 D Lincoln penny and MS67 red could be worth between $5,000 and $15,000 depending on demand. That's a far cry from face value, and for a copper coin, it's a huge return. And now, you might be wondering, is there any chance that a 1969 D penny could be worth $1 million? The short answer is not likely, unless there's a newly discovered error variety or dramatic doubling that hasn't yet been reported. But never say never in the world of numismatics. Rare coins have surprised experts before, and some incredible finds have come straight from pocket change. If you do believe you have a unique or one-of-a-kind specimen, your best bet is to submit it to a major grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication and professional evaluation. So what's the takeaway? Most 1969 D Lincoln cents are worth between 1 and 10 cents. A small number, in exceptional condition or with special errors, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And while it isn't the famous $1 million coin, it's still a piece of American history, and you never know when your pocket change might surprise you. If you've got a 1969 D penny, take a closer look. Check the date, the mint mark, the lettering. Examine both sides under good light or a magnifying glass. If it looks unusual, get a second opinion. 1970 D Lincoln 1 cent penny. If you've ever heard stories about a penny being worth $1 million, this might be the coin people are talking about. But how much is it really worth? Is it true that a simple 1-cent coin can make you rich overnight? Let's break it all down and separate the myth from the reality first. Let's start with the basics. The 1970 D penny refers to a coin minted in Denver in the year 1970. It features the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, or front side, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Like all Lincoln pennies minted since 1959, it's made primarily of copper, in fact, around 95% copper and 5% zinc, since it was minted before the 1982 metal composition change. So, what makes the 1970 D penny special? Why are some people claiming it could be worth thousands or even $1 million? The truth is, for most 1970 D pennies, the value is just about face value, 1 cent. Even in uncirculated condition, many of them are worth less than $1. You might be able to sell a high-grade uncirculated one for 25 cents, 50 cents, maybe $1 at most, but here's where it gets interesting. There are certain varieties and errors of the 1970 Lincoln penny that can be worth significantly more, but here's the catch: those rare and valuable versions are not the 1970 D mint mark. Instead, they are mostly from the 1970s mint, that's the San Francisco Mint. Specifically, a rare variety known as the 1970s small date Lincoln penny, especially one struck on a 1941 Canadian cent planchet, can command thousands of dollars at auction. One of the most famous errors is the 1970s small date double die obverse. Some examples of this error coin have sold for well over $3,000, even up to $10,000 depending on the grade. But again, these are from the San Francisco Mint, not the Denver Mint. Now, let's get back to the 1970 D penny. Are there any known rare errors for this specific mint? There are a few minor double dies and off-center strikes from Denver that could fetch between $50 and a few $100 depending on severity and condition, but nothing in the $1 million range. A genuine $1 million penny is still more of a legend than a reality, unless it's a unique mint error like the 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die. So why do some people list these 1970 D pennies online for hundreds of thousands or even $1 million? This usually happens on platforms like eBay, where people list common coins at sky-high prices hoping for a buyer who doesn't know better. These listings often don't reflect the true market value and rarely result in actual sales. Just because someone lists a penny for $1 million doesn't mean anyone's buying it at that price. If you have a 1970 D penny and are curious about its value, here's what you can do. First, examine the condition. Is it heavily worn, or is it uncirculated with a shiny, coppery red color? Second, look for any signs of errors, doubling, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or anything unusual. Third, compare it to professionally graded coins using resources like PCGS or NGC. If you think you have something special, consider sending it to a grading service. A high-grade or error coin needs professional verification to be worth serious money. As of 2025, most regular 1970 D pennies in circulated condition are still worth 1 cent. In mint state, that is, coins that were never used, they might be worth anywhere from 10 cents to $1 or $2 at best. Rare error versions can be worth much more, but even then, you're usually talking about hundreds, not millions of dollars. So is there a $1 million version of the 1970 D penny? In short, no. Not at this time. While some extremely rare coins from other years have approached or even passed the $1 million mark, like the 1943 bronze cent or the 1794 flowing hair dollar, the 1970 D penny isn't one of them. Still, that doesn't mean your penny has no value. Coin collecting is about more than just big money. It's about history, design, rarity, and the thrill of the hunt. And who knows, maybe you do have an overlooked error. But always get it authenticated before jumping to conclusions based on rumors or misleading online listings. 1971 no mint mark Lincoln penny. Now at first glance this might seem like an ordinary coin that you would find in your pocket change, but do not be fooled. There are some versions of this coin that are worth thousands and yes, in rare cases could even be worth up to $1 million. So what makes the 1971 Lincoln penny so special? Let us break it all down. The 1971 Lincoln penny was minted in massive numbers with over 1 billion coins produced that year at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally does not use a mint mark on its coins. That is why when you find a 1971 penny with no mint mark, you are most likely looking at a coin minted in Philadelphia. Now most of these coins are only worth face value, which is 1 cent, but here is where it gets really interesting. Some of these coins were struck with major mint errors and extremely rare die varieties, and these errors and varieties are what make some 1971 pennies Worth hundreds, thousands, and in extremely rare cases even up to $1 million. Let us talk about the most valuable version of this coin. One of the most famous errors on the 1971 penny is the double die obverse. This means the front of the coin where Abraham Lincoln's portrait appears was struck twice slightly off from each other during the minting process. This causes visible doubling of the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust." If you have one of these coins, especially in uncirculated condition or better yet graded as mint state, it could be worth serious money. Now get this one example of a 1971 double die obverse penny sold at auction for over $10,000, and some collectors believe that in perfect condition a deep red uncirculated example could one day sell for hundreds of thousands, if not over $1 million, depending on the demand and rarity. Imagine turning a penny you found in an old jar or in your change into a life-changing discovery. Now what should you be looking for first? Grab a magnifying glass or a coin loupe and examine the date and the letters on the front of the coin. Look closely at Liberty and In God We Trust. If you see any clear doubling that looks like a shadow or doubling on the letters and numbers, you might have something very special. Also pay attention to the color of the coin. A bright red penny, which is the original color of copper when it has not been exposed to the air for too long, is much more valuable than a brown or dark colored penny. Now here is another tip: if you think you have a rare 1971 penny, do not try to clean it. Cleaning a coin can drastically lower its value. Instead, take it to a professional coin dealer or have it graded by a trusted third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. So let us talk market value as of today. Common 1971 no mint mark pennies in circulated condition are only worth 1 cent. Uncirculated examples can range from $1 to $10. A bright red example in mint state 65 or higher could be worth $50 to $100, but if you have the double die obverse in top condition, then you were talking about thousands of dollars, and the top of the market for the finest known examples could push 6 figures or more depending on collector demand in future auctions. Some experts believe that as more people get into coin collecting and as these high-grade error coins become even rarer, the value could skyrocket into the $1 million range. So do you have a 1971 no mint mark Lincoln penny? It might be time to go through your old coin jars, your drawers, or even your childhood coin collection, because there could be a hidden gem sitting right under your nose. Remember, every great treasure was once an overlooked object. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, because we have more amazing coin stories coming your way. 1971's Lincoln 1 cent coin, and uncovering why collectors are willing to pay big money for it. Grab your magnifying glass, because we're going to explore hidden value in the smallest coin in your pocket. Let's rewind back to 1971. America was in a unique period of history. The Vietnam War was still ongoing. The United States was moving off the gold standard. Gas was just 36 cents a gallon. And the penny in your pocket looked pretty much the same as it does today, but something special was happening at the San Francisco Mint. In 1971, the San Francisco Mint produced Lincoln pennies with the S mint mark just below the date. These coins were part of a special issue, and most of them were never meant for general circulation. Instead, they were struck for proof sets, those shiny collector sets you might have seen in a velvet case. But here's where it gets interesting: some 1971's pennies made it out of the mint and into the hands of everyday Americans. And a few of them had rare errors that make them incredibly valuable today. The 1971's Lincoln penny is not automatically rare. There were over 500 million regular 1971 pennies made in Philadelphia and Denver combined, but the 1971's versions, especially those made for proof sets, were struck in much smaller numbers. Proof coins are made with specially polished dies and planchets. They look sharp, clean, and mirror-like. Now here's the key: some 1971's proof pennies have a double die obverse, a rare error where the design appears doubled, most notably on the In God We Trust, Liberty, and the date. If you have a 1971's penny with this doubling effect, congratulations! You might be sitting on a goldmine. Even more surprising, some examples have fetched tens of thousands of dollars at auctions. So, let's talk numbers. A regular 1971's penny in average circulated condition is worth just a few cents, basically its face value. Even a proof version without errors might only be worth a few dollars, but a 1971's double die obverse proof penny, that's where things change. High-grade versions of this rare error have sold for $5,000 to $15,000. Some have even crossed the $50,000 mark depending on the condition, clarity of doubling, and demand among collectors. One verified sale of a deep cameo 1971's DDO penny graded PR69 by PCGS reportedly reached over $70,000 at auction. There are rumors and listings floating around for even higher figures, pushing into the 6-figure range. But keep in mind, condition is everything. That means zero scratches, mirror-like surfaces, and strong doubling. And here's the kicker, there are coin dealers and collectors out there who believe that if the right coin, in pristine condition, with perfect doubling, were to show up at the right auction, it could fetch over $1 million. Yes, that's right, $1 million penny. Segment 4, how to identify one. Now you're probably wondering, do I have one? Here's what to do first. Find a penny from 1971 that has an S mint mark under the date. Next, look closely at the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the numbers in the date. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. If any of those appear to have a doubling effect, like a shadow or echo, you might have a double die outburst. If it looks promising, do not clean the coin. That can destroy its value. Instead, consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. They'll tell you what you have and what it's worth. There have been real stories of people who found one of these in their late father's coin collection or in a jar of old change. One man found a 1971 S-proof coin with the DDO error sitting in an envelope for years. It graded at PR68 and sold at auction for over $30,000. Another collector discovered a nearly flawless example in an estate sale and later resold it privately for a reported six figures. These stories are rare, but they are real, and it just proves that hidden treasures are still out there. So the next time you're about to toss your change into a jar or ignore a penny on the sidewalk, think twice. That little coin might not be so little after all. Of the 1971 S Lincoln penny, especially with the double die obverse, is one of those rare coins that bridges everyday life and incredible value. Whether it's worth $5 or $500,000, the key is knowing what to look for. Take a moment. Look through your old change. Check that coin jar. And who knows, you might just be holding history in your hand. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin collecting tips, hidden treasures, and amazing stories from the world of numismatics. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a valuable coin or think you might have a 1971 S penny worth grading. 1972 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent penny. Now before you toss your old pennies aside or use them in a vending machine, watch this video till the end because you might just have a coin in your drawer or change jar that could be worth thousands of dollars, maybe even $1 million under the right circumstances. Let's get right into it. So what's special about the 1972 Lincoln penny with no mint mark? First of all, the absence of a mint mark means this coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. Philadelphia didn't add mint marks to their coins until later, so this is totally normal for coins from that time. But not all 1972 pennies are created equal. There are actually 10 different varieties of the 1972 penny, and one of them is an extremely rare double die variety known among collectors as the 1972 double die obverse or 1972 DDO. This is where things start to get really exciting. So what is a double die obverse? A double die error happens during the minting process when the die used to stamp the design onto the coin shifts slightly between strikes, causing parts of the design, especially the lettering and the date, to appear doubled. On the 1972 DDO, the doubling is strong and visible with the naked eye. You can clearly see it on the words "Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust" and on the date 1972. If you find one of these coins, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Now let's talk about the money. How much is a 1972 no mint mark Lincoln penny worth for regular circulation? 1972 pennies without any errors or rare features, they're worth just about 1 cent, maybe 2 cents if they're in better than average condition, because they're made mostly of copper and have a melt value that slightly exceeds face value. But that's not what we're interested in today. We're talking about the 1972 double die obverse, the one that makes collectors go wild. Depending on the condition of the coin and whether it's been officially graded by a service like PCGS or NGC, the value can range from hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars. A 1972 double die penny in mint state condition with strong luster and no scratches has sold for over $14,000 at auction. And some uncirculated examples that are nearly flawless have even been listed for over $30,000. Now here's where things get really mind-blowing. There's a theory floating around among coin collectors that certain ultra-rare double die pennies, especially if they're found in pristine condition with red luster, never touched by human hands and never circulated, could potentially be valued by elite collectors or investors in the six-figure or even seven-figure range under very specific circumstances. While number 1972 penny has officially sold for $1 million, yet the coin market is driven by demand, rarity, condition, and uniqueness. And with crypto investors and art buyers turning to tangible assets like rare coins as investment pieces, million-dollar bids are no longer unthinkable. If someone with deep pockets is looking to own the finest known example of a 1972 DDO penny and only one fits the bill, the sky's the limit. So how do you know if you have one? Start by checking any 1972 penny you have. Use a magnifying glass or zoom lens and look at the text. Look closely at Liberty and In God We Trust. If the letters appear doubled, especially with clear separation between the lines of the text, you might have a valuable coin. If you think you have one, don't clean it, whatever you do. Cleaning a rare coin can instantly destroy its value. Instead, get it evaluated by a professional grading service. You might even want to visit a local coin dealer or attend a coin show where experts can take a look in person. And remember, there are also counterfeits and minor doubling errors that aren't worth nearly as much. So having a reputable third party confirm the authenticity is key if you're hoping to sell or keep it for investment purposes. To recap, the regular 1972 penny without mint mark is worth about face value unless it's in mint condition. But the 1972 double die obverse no mint mark penny, especially in high grade, can be worth thousands and in the most extraordinary cases even be considered $1 million collector's piece. So check your change jars, search your piggy banks, look through that old coin collection from your grandfather. Because that one penny sitting forgotten in a drawer could be worth more than a brand new car or even a house. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on hidden treasures in everyday money. Let me know in the comments if you've ever found a rare coin or if you're going to check your coins right now. And hey, maybe you'll be the next person to find a 1972 penny worth $1 million. 1973 D Lincoln cent, that's right, the Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny coin minted in Denver. It might seem like just another ordinary penny, but as you're about to find out, some of these coins have skyrocketed in value in today's market, reaching worths that can go all the way into the thousands and in extremely rare cases, even touch the $1 million mark. So whether you're a coin collector, a history buff, or someone who just happened to find an old penny in their pocket change, you're going to want to stick around until the end of this video. Because what looks like a simple 1-cent coin could actually be worth way more than you think. Let's start with a bit of background. The 1973 D Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, Colorado, and it features the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, the same portrait that's been on the penny since 1909. Now, in 1973, over 3.5 billion of these pennies were struck at the Denver Mint. That's billion with a B. So at first glance, you'd think they must be incredibly common, right? Well, yes and no. Most 1973 D pennies you find will be worth just 1 cent. Maybe 2 or 3 cents if you're selling them in bulk for copper melt value, since they were made mostly of copper. But within that massive mintage, there are certain rare varieties, errors, and high-grade examples that can bring serious money. And when I say serious money, I mean coins that have sold for thousands and in rare scenarios, valuations pushing up to $1 million depending on condition, rarity, and provenance. Now here's something that's often overlooked. The 1973 D Lincoln penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. That's before the U.S. Mint switched over to copper-plated zinc coins in 1982. These pre-1982 coins weigh about 3.11 grams, so they've got a little heft to them compared to modern pennies. If you hold one in your hand and compare it to a newer penny, you can feel the difference. And if you hear that nice ringing sound when you drop it, that's the sound of real copper. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln facing right, with the word Liberty to the left and the date 1973 to the right, with the all-important D mint mark right below the year. On the reverse side, you've got the Lincoln Memorial, with United States of America across the top, E pluribus unum above the memorial, and 1 cent along the bottom. Simple design, but a classic. Now let's get into the juicy part. The reason some of these coins are worth big money is because of varieties and errors. This is where the 1973 D penny becomes a true treasure hunt. One of the most desirable error types is the double die. If you happen to find a 1973 D penny with doubling on the lettering, such as Liberty or In God We Trust, or even doubling on Lincoln's eye or ear, then you might be holding a rare double die obverse. These coins can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the severity and condition. Then there's off-center strikes, where part of the coin is missing due to misalignment during the minting process. Some of these can be as much as 50% off-center and still show a full date and mint mark. Those are in high demand among error collectors. There are also examples of clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing because the blank wasn't cut properly. Coins with strong mint luster and major visual errors can fetch impressive amounts at auction, but the real jackpots come when you combine errors with pristine condition. Now here's where things start heating up. If you've got a 1973 D penny in uncirculated condition, you might want to get it graded. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with MS60 being the lowest mint state and MS70 being absolutely perfect. The majority of these pennies out in circulation grade well below MS60. But if you've got one that looks flawless, with strong red luster, no scratches, and sharp details, you could be looking at a coin that's worth hundreds or even thousands. For example, a 1973 D Lincoln cent graded MS67 red by PCGS or NGC can fetch hundreds of dollars, and if it's graded MS68 or higher, it can go even higher. In fact, one of the finest known examples, an MS68 red, sold for several $1,000s at auction. That's a single penny fetching more than a used car, and there are whispers in the numismatic community that if a perfect MS70 example were to be discovered, it could be valued in the six-figure range, possibly even pushing toward the $1 million valuation territory, especially if combined with a major error or an extraordinary backstory like being part of a special mint set or discovered in an untouched roll. Let's talk real numbers now. In recent years, high-grade 1973 D pennies have sold for anywhere from a few hundred to over $3,000 depending on condition and demand. Heritage auctions and great collections have recorded sales of MS67 and MS68 red examples pushing the upper end of that spectrum. These are not hypothetical numbers. These are real people buying real coins for real money. The demand for high-grade Lincoln cents has only grown in the past few years. Collectors are turning their attention to modern coinage, and Lincoln cents are one of the most widely collected series in U.S. history. When supply is low and demand is high, values go up. It's simple economics. So, what should you be looking for if you've got a jar of old pennies at home or you're hunting through change? First, check the date. Make sure it's 1973 with a D mint mark under the year. Then look at the overall condition. Is it shiny and red, or is it dark and worn? A red coin is more desirable than a brown one. Then get a magnifying glass and check for doubling, off-center strikes, or other anomalies. Look at Lincoln's eye, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust." If something looks strange, it might be worth checking against certified error listings. If you think you've got something special, it might be time to send it in to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Yes, there's a cost, but the potential upside is worth it if your coin is truly rare. So there you have it. The 1973 D Lincoln penny. A coin that most people overlook, but one that holds the potential to be worth hundreds, thousands, or even more. With the right combination of condition, rarity, and error, a single cent can transform into a true collector's prize, maybe even $1 million discovery. So before you toss that old penny in the change jar or slide it into a vending machine, take a second look. You never know what treasure you might be holding. 1975 no mint mark Lincoln penny. This isn't just any ordinary coin. It's a piece of American history, and for some collectors, it's a potential goldmine. In this video, we're going to dive deep into the details. What makes this penny so special? Why does it have no mint mark? What factors make it valuable? And how much could it be worth today in the collector market? So grab a seat, maybe even check your coin jar, because by the end of this video you might be rushing to find your own 1975 penny. First, let's take a quick journey back in time. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real person, and ever since then, it has been a staple in our pockets. By 1975, the penny had already undergone several design and metal composition changes. The Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse side had been used since 1959. But one thing that catches collectors' attention in 1975 is that many of the pennies have no mint mark. So what does that mean? In the world of coin collecting, the mint mark tells you where the coin was made. For example, coins with a D were made in Denver, S was for San Francisco, and P is for Philadelphia. But here's the twist. In 1975, pennies minted in Philadelphia had no mint mark at all. That's right. It was standard practice at the time. So if you have a 1975 penny with no mint mark, it was almost certainly minted in Philadelphia, but that alone doesn't make it valuable. So what does? Here's where things get interesting. Most 1975 no mint mark pennies are only worth face value, 1 cent. But certain rare examples can be worth much, much more. Here's why. Point 1 of the key factors that affects a coin's value is its condition. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state. The highest grade is called MS70, meaning mint state in perfect. If you have a 1975 no mint mark penny in a high mint state condition, especially one graded MS65 or above by professional grading services, the value can jump dramatically. Some examples have sold for $50, $100, and even more. And now you may be thinking, how do we go from $50 to $1 million? Well, here's the catch: errors and varieties. In coin collecting, errors can mean big money. We're talking about double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, and other rare minting mistakes. A double die is when the design is impressed twice slightly off, causing a doubling effect. This kind of error can increase a coin's value by hundreds or thousands of dollars. If you have a 1975 no mint mark penny with a rare error, for example, a major double die obverse, and it's in mint condition, the value skyrockets. There are no confirmed million-dollar sales of a 1975 penny yet, but based on how rare coin prices rise, it's not impossible. If a major error is found and it's one of a kind, collectors could pay tens of thousands or even into the six-figure range. And if multiple wealthy collectors want it? The bidding war could push it into the million-dollar mark. After all, a 1943 bronze Lincoln penny sold for over $1 million. And a 1974 aluminum penny caused legal battles due to its rarity. So yes, the million-dollar dream is real. Here's what you should look for in your 1975 no mint mark penny. Condition. Is it shiny? Has it never been circulated? Does it have no scratches or discoloration? Look for doubling. Get a magnifying glass. Check the date, the word liberty, and the phrase "in God we trust." Off-center strikes or weird shapes. If it looks misaligned or uneven, you might be looking at a rare error. Unusual metal. If your penny feels lighter or heavier, or looks silver instead of copper, it could be a rare planchet error. Get it graded. If you really think you have something special, send it to a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. They can certify its grade and value, which helps in selling or auctioning it later. Let's talk numbers. What are the actual market values right now for a 1975 no mint mark Lincoln penny? A circulated 1975 penny with no mint mark is worth about 1 cent. A brilliant uncirculated example in MS63 to MS65 condition can fetch between $5 to $30. High-end MS67 graded pennies have sold for over $100. If you discover an error penny, especially a double die or planchet mistake, values can leap to hundreds or thousands. And a once-in-a-lifetime rare error, especially if verified by experts and sold through a major auction house, could approach six figures or more. No million-dollar sales have been confirmed for 1975 pennies yet. But remember, new discoveries happen all the time. And the collector market is unpredictable. So the next time you see a penny on the ground, don't walk past it. Pick it up. Check the date. Look for that 1975. And most importantly, check for that missing mint mark. Because you never know. What looks like a simple 1-cent coin could be a rare treasure worth a small fortune. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of coin collecting, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below telling us what rare coins you found or are searching for. 1977 Lincoln penny without a mint mark. Yup, that little brown coin sitting in your drawer could be from 1977, and you've probably seen a bunch of videos or posts online claiming it's worth thousands, maybe even $1 million. But is it really? Let's get to the truth. No hype, no gimmicks, just facts. So, first things first, let's talk about the coin itself. The 1977 Lincoln penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. It features the classic design we've all seen, with Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. No mint mark simply means it was minted in Philadelphia. Back then, coins from the Philadelphia Mint didn't carry a mint mark, so it's not some kind of rare error, it's just how they were made. Now, how many of these were made? Over 4.4 billion. Yeah, billion with a B. That's a huge number. So right off the bat, we know this penny isn't rare in the traditional sense. If you've got a 1977 penny without a mint mark, chances are, it's one of the billions that were mass-produced and circulated. Alright, so why are people talking about this coin being worth big money? There's a lot of misinformation floating around, and sometimes a single high-dollar auction sale gets taken out of context. The truth is, unless your penny has something extremely special about it, like a rare minting error or it's in pristine, uncirculated condition, it's not going to bring in life-changing money. But let's talk numbers. In average circulated condition, the kind of penny you'd find in your change or in a jar at home, a 1977 no-mint mark penny is typically worth 1 cent. That's it. Maybe 2 cents if you're selling it for copper value, but even that's a stretch because you can't legally melt pennies for scrap in the US. However, there are some cases where collectors will pay more. If your 1977 penny is in mint state condition, meaning it has never been circulated and has zero wear, it might fetch anywhere from 25 cents to a few dollars. Not bad, but still not the millions we hear about. Now, if you have one that's graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC, and it scores super high, say an MS67 red or higher, you could be looking at a sale of around a few $100s, maybe more depending on demand. The current auction record for a 1977 no-mint mark penny is around $7,000 for an ultra-high grade example, but again, that's a perfect, rare specimen. So where do the million-dollar rumors come from? A lot of times it's clickbait. Some online videos and articles will say, check your 1977 penny, it could be worth millions. But what they're really doing is stretching a story about a rare error coin, not your everyday pocket change. Speaking of errors, let's cover that too. If your 1977 penny has a double die error, an off-center strike, a clipped planchet, or some other unusual minting mistake, then it could be worth more. Error coins are unique and can attract serious collector interest. A dramatic double die or major off-center strike can raise the value to hundreds or even a couple $1,000s, but those coins are rare and need authentication. If you think you have something like that, it's worth getting it looked at by a professional grader. So, the bottom line, your 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is likely not going to make you a millionaire. In most cases, it's worth face value. But if it's in near-perfect condition or has a rare error, you could be looking at some decent value, maybe enough for a nice dinner or even a small collector's sale. Definitely not million-dollar territory, though not if you've got a collection of old coins and want to check their value. Look out for errors, check the condition, and use sites like PCGS, NGC, or even eBay sold listings for realistic price expectations. Don't fall for hype and always do your research. Alright folks, that's all for today's deep dive into the 1977 no-mint mark penny. If you found this helpful, give the video a thumbs up, and subscribe for more no-nonsense coin facts and collecting tips. Drop a comment if you've got a 1977 penny and let me know what condition it's in. Who knows, maybe you do have a rare one after all. 1978 Lincoln 1 cent coin with no mint mark. Could this small copper coin be worth thousands or even millions of dollars in today's market? Let's find out first. Let's start with the basics. The 1978 Lincoln penny features the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, the front of the coin. It was designed by Victor David Brenner, and this design has been in use since 1909. The reverse side features the Lincoln Memorial, which was introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. Now here's what makes the 1978 Lincoln penny interesting. If you look closely at this coin and do not see any mint mark under the year, that means it was minted in Philadelphia. Unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco, Philadelphia minted pennies from that era did not carry a mint mark. So if you see a 1978 penny with no letter under the date, that is totally normal. But here's where it gets exciting. Even though the no mint mark penny from 1978 is common, certain rare errors, conditions, and unique strikes can make it extremely valuable. Most 1978 Lincoln pennies you'll find in circulation are worth 1 cent. However, some are selling for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. And in exceptional cases, coins with rare minting errors in top condition have been valued close to $1 million by collectors and auction houses. So what makes a 1978 penny potentially worth a fortune? Let's break it down. Number 1 is condition. Coins that are graded mint state by professional grading services, especially those in the MS65, MS66, or MS67 range, can bring in big money. The highest known grade for a 1978 no mint mark penny is MS67 red. These coins show brilliant color, almost no wear, and perfect details. One such example sold for over $10,000 at auction. Number 2 is color. The term red refers to the original copper color of the coin. The redder the coin, the higher the value. Coins are usually categorized as red, red-brown, or brown, with red being the most sought after. Number 3 is rarity of error. Certain 1978 pennies have been discovered with doubled dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, or other minting errors. One penny with a double die obverse sold for over $5,000. Another with a dramatic off-center strike fetched more than $3,000. Errors like these are highly desirable in the collector market. Now let's talk about the $1 million myth. Some online sources and rumors claim that certain Lincoln pennies from the 70s could be worth $1 million or more. While that is extremely rare and not yet confirmed for the 1978 penny specifically, what we do know is that error coins in perfect condition specimens from other years have sold for hundreds of thousands. That means the potential is real. If a one-of-a-kind 1978 penny were discovered with a significant mint error and in perfect condition, its auction price could break records. So how do you know if your 1978 penny is valuable? First, examine it under a magnifying glass or take a clear high-resolution photo. Look for signs of doubling, off-center features, or die cracks. If the coin appears uncirculated, without scratches or blemishes, and has a bright red luster, it may be worth sending in for grading. The top 2 grading services used by collectors are PCGS and NGC. These companies evaluate the authenticity and condition of coins and assign them a grade on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. Coins that receive a grade of MS66 or higher can sell for thousands depending on the demand and the rarity of the variety. As of today, market trends show that interest in high-grade Lincoln cents continues to rise. With coin collecting more popular than ever and with many collectors focusing on error coins and high-grade copper cents, the 1978 no-mint mark penny is in the spotlight. Some recent eBay listings show slabbed 1978 Lincoln pennies selling for between $50 and $500 depending on grade and rarity. And rare error examples can command much more. Now let's talk big money. If you were to find a unique 1978 penny with a previously undocumented error or one in pristine condition that surpasses current known grades, major auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stacksbauers could potentially list it. And with enough collector demand, the price could skyrocket into the 5 or 6 figure range. While $1 million price tag for a 1978 penny has not yet been recorded, the possibility exists for future discoveries. After all, who would have thought a 1943 copper penny could sell for over $1 million? But it did. So what should you do next? Go through your change jar. Check your old coin collections. Visit your local coin shop. Look at garage sales and estate sales. Every 1978 penny could be a potential gem waiting to be discovered. And remember, even if it's not worth millions, the joy of collecting and learning about history is priceless. Before we wrap up, here's a quick summary. If your 1978 Lincoln penny has no mint mark, it's from Philadelphia. Most are common and worth face value. But high-grade examples and rare errors can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even more. To find out your coin's value, check the condition, look for errors, and consider professional grading.